Okay, so what I have here on the bench today is this probably mid-1950s Ingraham Biltmore. It's in pretty rough condition, and I'm going to be disassembling it today and see the crystals just falling right off there. I need to reaffix that and replace it actually. But can't guarantee there's the original back. I got this in a lot of various dollar watches, but it's pretty interesting. It has 1973 and Jimmy Love Rose etched into the back with a flower, maybe a rose. Anyway, it's pretty interesting. I don't have my case knife with me, but these case parts are just kind of falling off here. This watch has seen better days. And what I'm going to do is set the hands to 12 and remove them. This watch actually happens to be running. Not the greatest, but I mean, it's ticking along quite happily. Dollar watches tend to be tanks, really. I'm going to pop the hands off here, like that. And then the second's hand will just flop off like that, pretty loose. Now, going to release the stem so I can remove the movement from the case. Or, well, remove this from the movement and then remove the movement from the case. Ingram, I think early on, advertised that this was a dollar watch that didn't need any case screws, and that is correct, but they can be a bit fiddly to get apart, so I'm going to touch the movement with my bare hands. No worries here. This is going right in the cleaner, so no worries about long-term damage to the movement or dial. These dials are also really durable, they're painted. So what you do is you twist the movement to the side like that, and then that should just kind of pop up. You should just kind of be able to wiggle it out like that. And there's your case. Kind of going to play-by-play here, but here's the movement. No jewels, pin lever escapement. These things, I repeating myself here, but kind of possible to kill these things unless it's like missing parts or something, or like submerge it in salt water. I will, well, first of all, I need to remove the dial here, and these are held on with tabs, and I might do another video on how I make these watches more serviceable where you don't have to bend these tabs around. I make the dial so you can just snap it on and pop it off. So I do this is take a flathead, and these tabs are loose. If the tabs are tight, you might want to go in, if it focuses, and kind of pry outwards. There we go, that's the dial off. And you can see these things are basically just a little clock that fits in your pocket. There's your dial train there. It's the hour wheel and dial washer. And now I am going to want to let the mainspring down on this guy. So make sure it's set onto winding, and what I'll do is put pressure on the crown as if I'm winding it, pull the click back, and just let it gently release all the spring tension between my fingers on the crown. And there we go. It stopped running. Barely any pressure or any tension on the gear train, so that means it's ready for further disassembly. This is a movement holder that I designed and 3D printed. Hopefully there'll be a video on this to come also. This is just a prototype and it seems to be working quite well actually, so I'm pleased with that. That just sits down into there. What I'm going to want to do is remove the taper pin here. So if I adjust my camera angle like this and zoom on in here, it's the taper pin, and you're going to want to gently push it out. Like that. There's the taper pin. That's out. Then I will remove the, let me zoom out here a bit, the movement, or excuse me, the hairspring from the regulator. Gonna have to remove the offset bend from there. And there we go, that's out. So now I can continue on with disassembly. Make sure I'm zoomed all the way up here and readjust my camera angle. These movements have 4 screws, so I will go ahead and remove these. Let me adjust my camera angle a little bit more, excuse me. Oh. There we go. During this time period, they used brass screws, so the screw heads tend to be pretty soft. So you have to be mindful not to strip them out. This isn't necessarily a tutorial, but I'm just kind of doing a play-by-play here. What I'm doing. Using the finest, and actually I say they are brass, but they actually seem to be brass plated steel, so that's the more you know every day, the more you learn. Well, using the finest screwdrivers Dollar Tree can provide me. These work well for dollar watches. I would never use them on a actual jeweled fine pocket watch, but these suit the big screws quite nicely on these. Now I should be able to remove the top plate. There we go. And actually there's a date code here on this, so I will show you guys. 55, so yeah, mid-1950s. Balance wheel and hairspring. And now to remove the train of wheels, and I can zoom in on this a bit. Here's the pallet fork. And the rest of the train of wheels. You've got your escape wheel. Seconds wheel. The way these are assembled makes removal of the spring barrel, removal and installation a bit finicky. So I will have to use my fingers for that too. So before you all start screaming at me in the comments, yeah, it's, let's see, pretty tough. Let me remove the crown wheel first, actually. There you go. It is dirty, so it will benefit from a cleaning. Tension spring for the setting lever. And the setting lever itself. And the center wheel is affixed with this shuck pinion. This is not a cannon pinion. On these, it is called a shuck pinion because this shaft actually this arbor spins within this wheel here. and it's kept under spring tension with a spring down there. Just like a clock. If it was a clock, you know, you'd have your adjustment knob back there. Now the probably most finicky part is removing the main spring. And I apologize, this probably is not going to come out on the video very well. It's a matter of getting the mainspring end off the inner hook. And yeah, I look like a total butcher here, but it's just a matter of how Ingram assembled their dollar watches. I'm going to take this off camera to look at it quickly. Okay. There we go. That should be it off. And you really have to, sorry for the poor lighting here. There we go. The background washes out of it, sorry about that. And yeah, this gets pretty wedged in here, so you do kind of have to pull that back, and there we go. That is the main spring, which actually doesn't look like it has any kinks or anything, so it should be all good. So that's nice. And here's your main plate. You can see these have just a little balance cups here, just like an alarm clock. You have a conical balance staff. It actually kind of looks like the end of the tweezer here. It's just kind of a almost looks like a point of the needle, but just a bit more blunt. And it rides in there, and it actually does make for a pretty low friction bearing that, if kept up, will last. Well, I mean, you can see here, it's about forever. I have alarm clocks over 100 years old that are still going. Enough talking here. That will be about it for the disassembly of this thing. So, with that being said, try to adjust my camera here. Thank you for watching.